Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Anastasia podcast. I'm so excited because I'm covering a topic that I've been literally thinking about for weeks. I've talked with my girlfriends about it until I've been blue in the face. And today, one of my conversations, we're continuing with one of my close girlfriends. And I was like, all right, while I'm in this momentum, I have to stop everything that I'm doing and I need to record this. Today's topic is motherhood is not created equal. And I feel so passionately about this because, again, this is my first go around, right? Magnolia is only 1.5. It's been such a bumpy ride. There's so much resistance. There's so much learning. There's so much growth. There's so much strength. And I'm in the place now where you're realizing, like, you kind of know this from the beginning. They tell you, like, you will intrinsically know how to mother, you will know how to be a parent, like, trust your instinct. Now I feel like I'm in stage two where you're really realizing how to block out outside noise and you're realizing what is a double edged sword. So, some things I want to cover today are stepping away from my job and stepping into being a full stay at home mom, stay at home wife, what that means for my business, my creative things, all these other entrepreneurial ventures that I have. Spoiler, I literally don't think I'll have another job my entire life. Like, I don't think I'll ever work for someone else in my entire life. So I want to dive into that and God's calling on that and just what I feel like I've been not listening to for the past year and a half versus what he's telling me to do now. I want to talk about kind of a life update of Matt working over 100 hours a week for a few weeks in a row and what that looked like and what realizations I was having about like motherhood, family routine, expectations, standards, etc. I want to talk about social media and the double-edged sword of we already know all of these things, but so much of motherhood is you think it's innocent and it's a point of relatability, and it's not because all motherhood isn't created equally. And we don't know where to draw the line in the sand. And at first, it starts off innocently, like we're just relating to each other through this season. And then very quickly, it turns to you're not doing enough. You're not working hard enough. You should be doing this. This is how hard I work to get to where I am. And you're like, that's great for you, but I'm being called in a different season. And then I want to circle back to that whole topic of obedience because that word has really been sticking out to me. And I feel like I'm not as into my faith walk as I should be or I could be right now because when I am in a flow with my faith walk, I have a lot more peace. And the absence of peace is how I know I'm not calibrated properly. So I was just making peanut butter and jelly saltines and refilling my water downstairs. And I was like, I need to grab the Magnolia book and find the place in the book and read it where God called Joanna to step away from her business when her kids were little. And it's the last thing she wanted to do, but she trusted. And every time I get to that part in this book, like I love re-listening to this book, it makes me super emotional because when God puts a dream on your heart, it is not like sometimes that dream is not for right now and you have to trust in his timing. And we live in this diluted world where there's this obsession with like you have to be like gripping the steering wheel in the driver's seat at all times. Of course, the Lord wants you to work towards things, but he also wants you to listen to him and what he's calling you to in different seasons of your life. So I want to get into that. And then I had a visit with a friend last week and she's a first-time mom and her little girl is 6 months. And she was telling me how in this season of life, she is chasing a peaceful mind. And that just like tied into all of this with me. So I want to like kind of wrap this episode up like that. So we have a lot to cover. A lot. Don't know how long it'll be. Don't know if it's going to be a 2-part episode. Literally just talking makes me out of breath. Never mind when I send voice notes on hikes to my girlfriends, but just sitting and sending a voice memo to one of my friends, I'm constantly out of breath. And I'm like, I sound like someone on my 600-pound life. And I'm not there, but I'm pregnant. And this is just how I sound now. So bear with me as I like breathe through this and like huff and puff through it. There's just a lot of good stuff to cover. All right, so let's start off with the big one, stepping away from my job. I like Sam, you guys know Sam, she was on my podcast. She's one of my best friends. Even when I went back to work last August, I went back knowing like I was probably only going to give a year, like I could probably only give about a year of my life because I just knew that like once more babies were in the mix, our life, the way it's designed and structured, like I wasn't going to find sitters to just go do little things. There's been so much of a journey through what even my position at the salon has looked like over the past year and well, like a year, 3/4 of a year. And I think my favorite thing is that it actually looked so unconventional and I got to dive into my design side and I got to create and transform a lot of spaces. And I got to utilize the 3 years that I worked there prior to having Magnolia and kind of like working there, seeing what people who like the stylist, Sam, like the owner, what the building needed to give the people who were in and out of the building every day, including clients. And a lot of the things that I like thought up and how I've wanted to help with like redesigns and just showcasing things, etc. I feel like I got like a really good foot in the door from those first 3 years. I went to the salon over the weekend with my husband to hang my last project that I did. We did a sign for Sam's little like studio that she has in the basement where she's going to be recording a lot of things and creating content. And Sam's all in that world. And I'm so excited for that space to come to life. The journey to make like to doing this last project, like I noticed a lot about myself. There's this thing on social media where it's like literally no one and then it's like blank. It's like nothing. And then it's like me. And me with a lot of the things that I will plug myself into, it's literally nobody asking me to go above and beyond and then I can't get out of my own way and I do it. And this last project, it was something like I just so quickly wanted to help and swoop in and do something really beautiful to like honor the space that is and have something everlasting that's gonna just be a wow piece of like what's gonna be created. And then I just kept being reminded like through this process, the season of life that I'm in and why I'm being like called to close a chapter. So just like even down to pregnancy, like the mind, it's crazy because the mind feels like being in the second trimester. I want to go, I want to do, I want to be. The body, tired, growing a baby, slowed down. So just even in that like aspect, I'm operating at so much of a slower pace. And I was talking to Matt's mom the other day and she's like, look at you, like before you kind of worked all the way through your third trimester and you're calling it quits now. And I'm like, I have a toddler now. Like Magnolia, it's like shifted my life around. And Matt's parents are huge helps with Magnolia, huge helps. They'll take her for full days. Those full days, I don't even get caught up on our life, like what it takes to run a household, grocery shopping, cooking. Like I'm just like literally crawling out of my hole of the first trimester. This morning, the past 2 days, Matt and I have woken up around 6 o'clock. He'll take the dog on a hike right away. I'll get up, I'll make our bed, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fold laundry. Today I folded 2 huge loads of laundry. It's probably like 4 loads of laundry. And then there was one basket left and it's all Magnolia's clothes. And I'm like, I physically don't have it in me to do one more. Like I've done enough. And it's like, you're never going to catch up. But I'm like, I felt very good with the progress that I made. Laundry to me is my abominable snowman. It's like this mystical thing that always exists and never goes away. And it's always scary and it haunts me. And it's literally one day I will be victorious and I will get ahead of it. We actually, Matt, the other day, like a few weeks ago, he was at the market and he just ran in. Or at the supermarket, he had to grab some stuff and he's wanted 4 bays of hampers in our basement so we can just have 4 different hampers, all the same, and we can just separate clothes like that. And then when it's full, we can throw it in. Like we were kind of trying to do that system in our room and there's really no space for it. The hampers that he bought, the handles like broke off all of them. They're all tall and they're really pretty. They're like this pretty green color with like wood grain finish. And it's like, okay, that's like the downside of just getting something done just to get it done. It's like you didn't get a chance to do your research. You didn't get to get like the right design thing. So I'm circling back to that. But I literally can't remember the exact reason that I started talking about this morning and laundry, like made me go so off topic. But after spending an hour and a half doing laundry, I came downstairs, I made my coffee, I took a big gulp, I sat on the couch about to write in Magnolia's journal and literally started like whatever you do when you're about to throw up. ran to the bathroom, threw up in the sink, and then threw up in the toilet. And then I'm like, okay, my body is literally mad at me that I've been up for an hour and a half. And the first thing I did was take a sip of coffee with protein powder and almond milk. But what it wanted was food. So I had a few saltine crackers, waited for that to calm down. Then I had a breakfast sandwich. I've been meal prepping breakfast sandwiches. They're insane. I ordered like those things where you can make, like, I'm going to make kind of like egg bites so I can make more protein in them. I want to do like an egg, egg whites, and cottage cheese. And then I want to bake them, and you bake them in a water bath. And I'm going to make English muffins from scratch. And I literally just can't wait. This is like opening my mind up to like, oh my God, when we go on vacation, I can pack things like this for myself so I don't have to cook breakfast ever. And then when I control the ingredients, I can make it so protein packed that like you don't get a carb crash. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm excited to have the capacity to plug into my life like this again. Anyways, I'm not fully out of the woodworks. Like, I'm not fully in the clear. Like was doing a countdown to get out of my first trimester, like praying that the nausea was going to go away. The nausea in the capacity that it was present in my life during the first trimester is shifted, but it appears in different ways now. Like I really can't let my stomach get too empty. And that has like always been hard because I was like a eat 1 to 2 meals a day kind of girl. I was not like a eat a few meals a day, like, your 3 meals a day, have snacks. Like I like to like go 5, 6 hours, eat my meal. Go 5, 6 hours, eat my meal. Go 5, 6 hours, whatever. And you cannot do that because you feel so bad. So it's just making things available so I can reach for them. The other part of the season that I'm in is realizing I just don't have the energy that I had before. I really like my 13th week and kind of through my 14th week. My 13th week, especially, I was hitting the wall around like 2 o'clock. Like I was waking up, I was feeling so much better. I was go, 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 go. Nothing left. All that week, too, I was solo parenting hardcore because Matt was working about like literally over 100 hours during the week. It was ships in the night. It's like when he would come home in the morning, he'd sleep to wake up to go to work. And it was really like, all right, taking care of the baby, taking care of the dog, making sure his needs are met, my basic needs, like making sure those are met, but there was room for nothing else. And it's just, you're kind of in survival mode. Getting through that now, I'm finding I have like even a little bit more energy, a little bit more energy. We had that one week where it was like 80 degrees for 4 days. That actually like gave me the worst depression because then it just dipped right into the 30s and 40s, and it's just been cold every day since. And today's supposed to be 62, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't want it to be 62. I want it to be 75 or I want it to be 80. And we are still so far away from that in Rhode Island. I'm like, I'm not trying to wish time away, but like, could it just be a little bit freaking warmer? So like, it's just like easier to have a better day. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? I'm kind of in the day to day realizing the things that I try to get done every single day and how much energy I have left. That is like my mind over matter. And doing this last project for the salon, I really was like, okay, the heart wants so much to keep going and do more. And I I know I can do I know I have so much more in me is I think what I'm trying to say. And then God is just like, but it's not your time to do it. It's your time to focus on this. And I had this like realization one day this week, or maybe it was last week when I don't know if I said this in my last podcast. I got Magnolia down for a nap. I finished getting ready. I went and I gently woke up Matt and I was like, she's sleeping, she's napping. Like, you guys are home together. I'm going to go hike the dog. And I'm hiking the dog, and it was like, okay, like my one moment, my one block of the day where if I want to do something for myself, like my podcast or anything, that is forfeited. And that turned into like, every day of the week because of Matt's schedule. But I was like, but this is what teamwork is because he's not having any funner of a time living at his job. You know what I mean? And it's our season of sacrifice, and we're doing what we have to do. Same team, same goal, different expectations every day, but we're both working towards it together. And it's just sometimes life is like that. So, anyways, I feel like so much over the past year, the stress that I would feel over trying to do it all. And you still get it done, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel there's it's like there's an absence of peace, and it's like you're trying to do it in your own strength versus in the Lord's strength. And that's how I know what I'm being called to in this season, and, like, I have to shift my obedience to Him. So, all these dreams that I have with doing design and renos, this has actually given me a lot more clarity on how I want to do projects in the future with being my own entity, and nothing is ever in vain. Everything is such a learning lesson, and it's always for you. But I really was like, "Okay, like, this is in this season of hard and this season of sacrifice in this capacity where Matt's working this much, what do I want like in the next 5 years? What do I see our family expanded? Okay, so right now, my focus is to turn inward, especially if my husband is making it happen. And my job is to grow our family. And that's what I'm going to do. And when like growing your family and taking care of little ones is already hard enough. Why am I continuing to make my life harder? I had another realization this week. It was one night that I put Magnolia to bed. Matt was on another like double shift. He wasn't home. And Magnolia's been going to bed like later and later. We had like a lot of sleep regressions again. Magnolia is just Magnolia, you know. And I'd washed off my makeup, I took a shower, and I was sitting in my robe on my floor sorting laundry. And I was like, okay, like, because I had a mountain of laundry in my closet and I'm voice noting my best friend. And I was really just thinking about like, I had listened to her voice note where she kind of talked about like bedtime routine, her and her husband kind of dividing and conquering. Her husband did bath time, things like that. And I really just had this like aha moment to myself. And I'm like, Anastasia, you do bedtime routine alone pretty much 7 days a week. Literally, the average is like 6 nights a week. Stop making yourself crazy trying to do it all and always being disappointed in yourself that your house is not where you want your house to be. Like you don't have it all in control. I'm doing a really good job doing it all totally by myself. And you get your kid down, your kid's not going to bed between 9 and 10. You get yourself ready for bed. You take the dog out, you like get love on him, make sure he's fed, taken care of, etc. And then you have to clean the bathtub. Then you're taking the bottle, like then you're putting away the books. Then you're doing the laundry, separating, the clothes that they changed out of, towels. You're going downstairs. You're cleaning up the kitchen after the chaos of dinner, the dinner that they never eat. You're resetting the toys. And yes, she's 1.5. I definitely try to get Magnolia as involved as I can, but when your child is temperamental because they're not sleeping well, you can't drill sergeant your kid to like, all right, we're cleaning up toys before we're going to eat dinner. No, you are in a flow going from one thing to the next thing. And this is I'm not saying this looking for pity or like a sob story or for anyone to even understand me. This is more my own understanding of like Anastasia, and you're growing a baby. You've literally already given your day based on the circumstances you're in, your body, being in the second trimester, etc. You have given 150% of effort that you could give. Enough is enough. The dishes can be in the sink. You will unload it tomorrow at some point. Like I for like 3 nights in a row, I think slept 9 hours. I literally passed out and then I would still wake up when she woke up. And it's just, okay. And you know what it's like. If you don't get to wake up before your kid, you don't get ahead on the day. And that's okay. And sometimes it's like that, especially if you're solo parenting. And it's you don't need anybody to understand it. You need to understand it. And I feel like oftentimes when you're the one living that life, you're the one who forgets that you're actually doing enough. And it's so hard too because just such a short while ago, right? I was in so much more control of my life and my house was always clean and my sink was always empty and the dishwasher would get loaded throughout the day and it was started every night and it's the first thing I unloaded every morning. And it's just like, that's not my season of life and it's okay. And when I look at the sink full of dishes, I'm able to separate now and be like, that's okay. That's not a representation of failure. That is the season of life that I'm in. And soon enough, like Magnolia loves to help. Matt the other day let her take all the silverware out. He pulled her toddler's stool up to the drawer of silverware and she put all the spoons, the forks, the butter knives, everything away. She's such a good helper. They want to help. You have to have the mental fortitude to be like, okay, am I ready to spend like 35 minutes putting the dishes away because my toddler wants to help me? Or are you going to wait until their nap time and then you're going to unload the dishwasher in 5 minutes by yourself? And then that one task times like all the other things that just need to be done on a day-to-day basis. When you're having your toddler be involved, okay, it's taking so much more energy out of you because you're involving them and you're practicing patience and you're helping them learn. And it's a lot. And this all ties into you're exhausted by the end of the day and there's nothing left. And if you're doing that, if you're doing your best being a mom, right? And I want to like argue not in the space of not all motherhood is created equal. When you are spending all day home with your kid, that to me is harder than mentally getting a break, checking out, and going and getting to work. I know when women are clocked in somewhere for 8 hours a day, the women who say, like, I wish I could be home with my baby. The mental load of not getting the separation from your child and like every tantrum that they have, every need that they have, the stage where they cling on to you no matter what, like that we all have our hard. I'm kind of just speaking to the place of life that I'm in. And when you see all these things online of like women just like being so carefree and like you don't know the help that they have. You don't know the situations that they have. You don't know the at-home care that they have of someone stepping in, taking over, giving you that mental break. You have to be gentle with yourself and be like soberly aware of your circumstances. And it's not a woe is me. And maybe it sounds like that. I don't mean it. It's just be honest with yourself about your situation and then live your life in accordance to that and find your peace in that space. Because when you're chasing, even trying to be in your old capacity, you're going to run yourself dry because you can't go back to that place. You're finding a new version of yourself, but just give yourself grace through that and don't compare. And that's like so easy to say and it's so hard to do. And I never viewed myself as someone who compared myself to other people until I realized the like slippery slope and the fine line of that in motherhood. Because with social media, for example, we use social media as a point of relatability with motherhood, but you don't know everybody's background stories. Like you don't know that everybody shares the load with both parents at home. Like even husbands who work from home and moms who work from home, when two parents can rotate the kid, it's just such a different mental load. I'm sure they have their own levels of hard, but that right there, then you're seeing them be in all these different flows where you're like, well, why can't I like pull myself together enough to do this? Why can't I get my shit enough together to go to Pilates 3 times a week? Why can't I look that rested and peaceful? It's like, because I don't have a nanny coming to my house. Because like I have this crazy ass dog. Oh, because I have like a Mount Everest pile of laundry in my room. Like I don't have help around the house. Like those kinds of things. Like I just got out of my first trimester. It is so our minds play just the biggest tricks on us. And that is like the double-edged sword of social media. You need to like turn it off, shield your eyes, and give yourself permission to just focus on your life because when you do that, you find so much joy in it and so much goodness and how much you've been blessed with. And that's the goal because that's supposed to fill your cup. Something that I think is very helpful in the space of motherhood and the relatability. If you have someone who's already an established friend and they're also walking through motherhood, that in itself is just enough of a connection to help carry you through the season of motherhood. But you guys are already going to have different stories because everybody has different life circumstances. So that in itself is just enough to where you can filter like, oh, well, like it's like this for them and it's like this for me. But then you still have the relatability of like, oh yeah, like when the kids like I just walked through a whole thing with Magnolia where Magnolia at grandma's versus Magnolia when she would come home, it would take me a whole day to reset her because she was a wild cannon. She was so used to, I get what I want, I do what I want. Like every beck and call, like every immediate need I have gets answered. And I would be like, Magnolia, let mommy finish washing this pan. I'd like make breakfast and she'd be screaming that I'm not picking her up. And I'm like, you can wait literally 5 seconds. Like, and it's just like, okay, and like recalibrate. And then I had to remind myself, this is also just a stage. She's going through it. She's learning like when she's at grandpa's house, she has two people who love her so much and are just like so excited to be with her and do anything that she wants to do versus at home. I love her. I want to be with her, but we have things to do and we have a doggy and we have to get the doggy food. And what does Magnolia want? And Daddy's not getting Magnolia's bottle ready while mommy is like changing her diaper. Mommy's changing her diaper. Then we have to go get her bottle together. At that point, she's already having a meltdown because her bottle's not ready. Like all of those things, you know? So it's just, you take it in stride. You do your best to get through day by day. And it's not a, like it's just like life and different socioeconomic backgrounds and what we're all born into, and everyone, even down to like people having different genetics and like health, etc. That is you're going to have your own experience with motherhood and parenthood and that journey, just like people have their own experience on earth with taking care of themselves and like what is genetically activated in them, what their walk through society looks like, etc. It's another one of those things that I think gets so convoluted because we're so emotional because of the hormones and we're so much more sensitive. You're sleep deprived. It's like you're learning things for the first time. It's so hard on so many levels, so it gets so messy. But it really is, it's just okay. Like, it's just okay. Don't forget that you intrinsically will know the best way to move through it for you and your family. And the number one thing you have to put first is you and your husband. You and your husband are the team walking through how you want to navigate your family to move it forward together, and always keep God in the middle of it too, because he guides, he knows the best way. And like, that's all that matters at the end of the day. At the end of like the 5 years, the 10 years, the pursuing all the dreams, like if your family falls apart, that's like heartbreak, You want to keep the most important things up close and like on the forefront, because that's like the everlasting stuff. That's the stuff when you look back at the end of your life that like that's your biggest pride and joy. Now I'm going to circle into like something that's going to make me super emotional, because I just found the spot in the book that I'm going to read. And I don't know, like with licensing, how much of this I'm allowed to read, but it's like a few little snippets. And something that I wrote is something that's really been speaking to me is in my life is it's not my season to girl boss. I don't want a girl boss. I want to build my dream with my husband. And right now, we have a lot of dreams, but right now, the dream at focus, the dream on the forefront is growing our family. And I'm called to take everything else that's been on our heart for the 14 years that we've been together, and it's our time to put it on a shelf and trust that what God's always put on our hearts, you have to trust in his timing, and he will reveal it to you in his timing. And right now, I know I'm supposed to be focusing on our family. That resistance that I've had to just going all in, you guys even know from this podcast, this year, 2026, was going to be my year to really focus on myself and get back to myself and grow my business. And it was so me, me, me. And then getting by accidentally pregnant, it shifted everything. And then having the miscarriage, it shifted everything again. And then us just deciding to jump all in on growing our family, and we can't do it in our strength, but God's going to do it. This is what I want to get back to. I want to get back to being so close with my walk with God that I am just blindly following him and knowing that like his path is perfect, and that those huge dreams on our hearts, they're not in vain, and they will have their time to grow. And I do feel like they're already planted and the roots are good, but like they're in their season right now to rest, and like it's not time to harvest, and that's okay. So here's the part in the book that I want to say. It's chapter 7 and it's One Door Closes. A lot of clientele seemed to have kids who were older, and I swear every single one of those moms would smile and coo over Drake saying, "Joanna, this goes by so fast. You need to embrace these moments. My kids are getting ready to go off to college." This is like making me so emotional. "And it feels like yesterday they were little like this. And as much as they loved shopping at my store, some of my best customers kept saying, 'You should think about taking some time off, maybe close up shop for a while.'" This is just like so sad to me, because this is the one thing I'm like avoiding so much in my life. Like, I so want to be in tune with that part of myself that gets to do all of her design things and have creative abilities, but I literally know what God's calling me to. And I just, I spent a year pushing that away because I was like selfishly wanted what I wanted for myself. You should think about taking some time off, maybe close up shop for a while. This is a moment in time you'll never get back. Don't work too much and make sure you're all in with your baby. Keep in mind, Joanna Gaines has 5 kids now, and this is after her first. I didn't listen at first. What new mom does, it seems as if every day lasts forever when you're up all night with feedings and changing smelly diapers. But the more I heard those words, the more they started to sink in. It was right around that time when I found out I was pregnant with our second child. This time it was going to be a girl. We decided to name her Ella Rose. Sales at my shop were better in my second year than they'd been in the first. I was building a reputation with a steady client base, and I felt like I was starting to actually know what I was talking about in terms of design. I loved that shop. I loved being there every day. Yet once I was pregnant with Ella, I heard a voice. Remember the voice on our first date? The one that told me Chip was the man I was going to marry? This was the same voice, but this time it was saying, Joe, it's time to stay home with your babies. I didn't really want to hear it. In fact, I argued with that voice just as I argued about what it said about Chip. No, I can't, I said. I'm just finally getting this. It's working. What I'm trying to say is that I truly loved everything about that shop, but the voice just kept telling me, Joe, it's time. I've loved everything about getting to pour into these design projects, but I just know I'm not even able to give those my full attention because what I'm being called to deserves all of my attention. I wrestled with it for weeks until finally I felt it in my heart. I thought about those words of all those women who were in my shop every day telling me to cherish this time with my child. Soon I would have 2 children whose time deserved cherishing. As much as I didn't want it to be true, I could no longer deny that the voice was right. The shop was more to me than an accomplishment or even the fulfillment of a dream. It was something Chip and I had dreamed and accomplished together from scratch. It wasn't his business and I added to, or my business that he added to. It was ours. I will remember till the day I die the moment I stood on the front steps and locked that shop door for the last time as tears rolled down my face. Even as I stood on those steps trying to say goodbye, I kept asking God, are you sure this is the right move? If it is, why does it seem so painful and hard? And that's when I heard the gentle whisper, Joanna, if you trust me with your dreams, I'll take them further than you could have ever imagined. It is no easy thing to trust in God, to walk away from a career, to give it all up, not knowing if you're ever going to get it back or even come close. But I did it. Dude, I listened to his voice and somehow I found peace about it. I don't think anyone will understand this other than moms who are battling the same thing right now with so longing to connect to your purpose before kids and knowing that you're being called into this new purpose of being present with your children. We just picked up this week our sweatshirts for our business, and it's just, I really know now is the time to pause doing any kind of coast to cabin related design projects. All I can say is that moms who long to connect with that part of themselves from before they were moms, like you feel this in your bones. And I'm just like so grateful for this reminder because I just know it's a God thing. And I know I'm supposed to go all in on my family and on God. And there will be my time to do mine and my husband's business and do so many more design projects and do them in better capacities because I will be in the proper season of my life. So, with that, the peace that I have felt since knowing it's really time to stop trying to do it all, there's been so much joy and like excitement into what will my life be like when any extra creative thing I want to do, it's on my own time. This has just been a real big eye opener. I'm excited to have more time for my podcast. I'm excited to just be a stay-at-home mom and really just give myself permission to put my kids and my family and my husband first. And then whenever I have a little extra something, I get to give it to me. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that absolute emotional whirlwind. I did not think that was going to make me that emotional. It's like revisiting, really knowing that I'm closing that chapter and I'm putting it on the shelf. But I know God is so good. I know there's so much joy in this upcoming season. I'm really excited to continue to lean into motherhood, talk about motherhood, relate about motherhood in hopefully all good ways. I love you guys so much for always tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, share with any of your mom friends who are going through similar seasons. I think I should also say follow, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.